Nakajima, a young lad, is frequently bullied by his fellow students because they see him as a talentless boy. Momo stands out among the people who torture him as one of the main attackers who continuously picks him out for pleasure. One day, the teacher walks into the classroom with two new pupils, the attractive Kyoya and the joyful Nana. When questioned about their powers, Kyoya keeps mute, whilst Nana readily admits to being able to read people's minds. This revelation surprises and disturbs the other students, because having one's thoughts revealed to another person may make anyone feel uneasy. Nana is forced to seat next to Nakajima, and with her mind-reading abilities, she immediately understands the extent of his bullying. Her suspicions are verified when Mogo taunts Nakajima, claiming that he is unable to fight against humanity's enemies owing to a lack of skill. To everyone's astonishment, Nana defends Nakajima and confronts Mogo, admitting that he attacks Nakajima simply to impress her and ask her out on a date. Nana flatly rejects Mogo's, humiliating him in front of his classmates. Later, the class gets a chance to choose a class president, and Mogo offers promptly, believing himself to be the strongest. Another pupil, Seiya, who can manipulate ice, walks forward as well. Nana, much to the annoyance of Mogo and Seiya, asks that Nakajima be considered as well. To settle the matter, Highway proposes a duel between the three candidates. Nakajima is not enthusiastic about the duel and doesn't understand why Nana sees him as a potential class president. However, he obliges when Nana asks him to show her around the island after school. During their conversation, Nana explains the downside of her mind-reading ability, causing her discomfort in public places and the consequent lack of friends. Nakajima eventually reveals that he has been hiding his own talent, as he didn't want their enemies to know about it. After eating together, Nana asks Nakajima to take her to a place where she can see the sea, so Nakajima takes her to a cliff. While talking, a sudden, strong wind pushes Nana over the edge. Nakajima manages to grab her hand and save her. They wonder about the strange wind, unaware that Kyoya in the teacher's room is going for students' information. The next day, a battle takes place between Mogo and Seiya after Nakajima withdraws from the race. However, when Mogo loses against Seiya, he explodes in rage, putting everyone in danger. Nakajima is compelled to utilize his skill to stop the fireball while also protecting his classmate. Nakajima is elected class president as a result of his courageous actions. Nakajima recognizes Nana's importance in his election and asks her to the cliff to show his thanks. Nana, curious about Nakajima's strength, begs him to hold her hand. She then pushes him down the cliff, forcing Nakajima to cling to live. Nana explains at that point that she was never able to read people's minds. It was all fake. In reality, she is a brilliant observer who can discern people's thoughts and emotions down to the slightest of details. She adds that her purpose is to destroy powerful persons with the potential to become leaders of the enemy of mankind, such as Nakajima. Nakajima's grasp slips as a result of Nana's disclosure, and he falls into the ocean. Nana then receives a text message confirming that she has successfully eliminated Nakajima, who was considered a future threat to humanity. A long time ago, it was revealed that the true enemies of humanity were not monsters, but humans with special powers known as talented individuals. Over time, more and more children with these powers were born, causing chaos and destruction. Normal humans were unable to handle this threat, leading the government to create a special police force composed of superpowered individuals. However, this police force turned against the government, considering themselves superior to ordinary humans. This resulted in a prolonged war, which the talentless humans eventually won. Humanity steadily recovered after the war, but to avoid a repeat of history, the government planned to relocate the gifted people to a remote island and disguise it as a unique school. At the same time, they dispatched agents entrusted with murdering the gifted. At the moment, the pupils are practicing their water combat abilities on a lake. Seiya, who has deadly freezing powers, is one of them. Nana believes Seiya's abilities are too dangerous to examine further. Meanwhile, Magu gets into a brawl, but Shibusawa, who has the power to time travel, soon breaks it up. Nana sees an opportunity to learn more about Shibusawa's abilities and invites him out to lunch, where she unintentionally verifies his time-traveling ability by dropping water on him. Nana became terrified as he realized the scope of his power. However, their talk is cut short by Kyoya, who requests that Shibusawa utilize his abilities to locate Nakajima. Nana doesn't want Shibusawa to find out the truth, so she diverts the subject by claiming Nakajima is unwell. But Kyoya suspects something is wrong since Nakajima has not returned to his room, and Nana is the last person who saw him. To avoid suspicion, Nana pretended to read Kyuei's mind and accuse him of being an imposter, successfully distracting Shibusawa. To further cover her tracks, Nana spread a rumor that Nakajima had been attacked by a monster. She pretended to be frightened, convincing Shibusawa and further piquing Kyuei's interest. Shibusawa decides to use his time-traveling ability to investigate Nakajima's disappearance. Upon his return, Shibusawa informs Nana that Nakajima was with her on the cliff, but ran out of energy before witnessing anything further. Mana is relieved that he didn't see her push Nakajima off the cliff. However, she understands the necessity to remove Shibusawa in order to defend herself. So she appears in his room late at night and claims to know what happened to Nakajima. Nana takes him to a site where she claims Nakajima was assaulted, but it turns out to be a frozen lake made by Seiya. Shibusawa used his time-traveling abilities, unaware of the risk, and found himself buried in the frozen lake. Even if he could return to the present, he would die of cold. As a result, Nana was able to effectively coordinate the deaths of Shibusawa and Nakajima. Kyoya went to the cliff to investigate Nakajima's abrupt disappearance, but all she found was a broken rope and Nakajima's watch. Meanwhile, no one accuses Nana of being involved in the disappearances of the pupils. Instead, Mogo and Seiya accuse Kyoya, who was away from class at the time. Just as they are discussing Kyoya, he appears, soaked and with a leaf attached to his head. As a result, Nana sees him as a possible threat. Nana follows Kyoya around lunchtime and learns that he goes to the dormitory shed to feed a cat. Later, they run into one another in the corridor, and Nana can't stand the leaf on Kyoya's head any longer. She mentions it to him, and he is touched by her kindness. Unexpectedly, Kyoya asks Nana to be his friend and invites her to his room. There, Kyoya reveals his true purpose for coming to the island, investigating his sister's disappearance 5 years ago. He further discloses that he found Nakajima's watch during his investigation. Nana becomes even more convinced that Kyoya must be eliminated, and she believes she has found a way. While in Kyoya's room, Nana discovers that he has no sense of smell. The following day, Nana executes her plan to kill Kyoya by filling the dormitory's shed with gas, intending for him to ignite it while using the stove to warm the cat's milk. Her plan goes smoothly as the stove explodes when Kyoya lights it, engulfing the shed in flames. Mana resumes her role as a concerned student, pretending to be worried about Kyoya, but is shocked to see him alive, unaware that his talent is immortality, rendering him unable to die regardless of her attempts. Kyoya suspects Nana due of her surprised response to finding him alive. He wonders why, if she had the capacity to read minds, she didn't detect his immortality. However, Kyoya lacks substantial evidence that Nana attempted to murder him or was accountable for the disappearances of Nakajima and Shibusawa. The next day, Kyoya talks to the pupils about yesterday's event. Instead of openly involving Nana, he vaguely indicated that it was the work of the enemy who had attempted to assassinate him. The kids are dubious since they think the enemy wasn't on the island. Meanwhile, the females in the class are delighted when Mikairu receives a love note from an unknown person, requesting that we meet after school. Mikairu, who has a gift for healing wounds, is pleased by the love letter, but cures Nana's harmed leg as soon as she observes it. Mikairu's method of healing required licking the wounds, but it came at the expense of shortening her own life. Unfortunately, the sender of the love letter didn't show up, and Nana instead emerged, revealing that it was all a joke arranged by their classmates. Mikairu is devastated by the betrayal, but appreciates Nana's honesty. Later that night, Nana contemplates how to kill Mikairu, knowing that injuring her would be futile due to her healing abilities. The only viable option seems to be stabbing her in the back to prevent her from healing the wound. However, when Nana leaves her room to go to Mikairu, she is surprised to find Kyoya standing guard outside. Nana questions him, but he explains that he is concerned about her safety and wants to protect her. Nana tries to deceive him by turning the music on and slipping out through the window, but Kyoya sees through her plan and follows her. Upon entering Mikairu's room, Kyoya finds Nana with a severe stab wound while Mikairu attempts to heal her by licking it. Nana quickly lies, claiming that she has heard suspicious voices and rushes to save Mikairu from an invisible enemy that vanishes afterward. Although Kyoya remains suspicious, he lacks solid evidence to confront Nana. While Nana was crying and rumor had it that an enemy was entering the island, the other pupils sympathized with her. Nana took advantage of the circumstance, feigning to grieve in front of the pupils and spreading tales about the enemy's presence and Nakajima's death. Because of her bravery in protecting Mikairu, the students believe her and elect Nana as class president. Nana promptly used her power, with the kids backing, by asking Mikairu to gather information about everyone's skills in the class. Despite claiming that she no longer suspects Nana, Kyoya continues to interrogate her and study her behavior. Nana's back wound resembled a stab from a knife or an ice pick, confirming her allegation of being assaulted by a monster. Although Nana disliked his skepticism, she respects Kyoya's keen instincts and deduction. To make the next murder look more mystical, she devises a new weapon, poison needles. Tsunakichi, a student who claims to see the future, contacted Nana later that night and showed her images of his visions. Nana was pictured in one photo intending to hurt Tsunakichi during a future event. Nana feigned ignorance and denied any intention to harm him, so Tsunakichi tries to prove his ability by taking her to the cafeteria and explaining his ability. Tsunakichi also blackmails Nana into becoming her lover by displaying evidence that she murdered Nakajima. Nana, with no other option, chooses to obey him. He leads her to his room and asks her to massage his back. Nana considers murdering him during a massage, but she chooses to wait to prevent notice from other students present. While waiting, she notices Tsunakichi holding his camera in an unusual manner. Nana explores the camera and discovers that it can take images in the future. Before removing Tsunakichi's camera outside the dormitory, she saves one startling future shot, expecting to utilize it herself. However, she discovers that the camera can only be used by Tsunakichi in the future. Nana's attempts result in simply regular images. She realizes that Tsunakichi sees the future via his dreams and catches it with his camera. The next day, Tsunakichi suspects Nana stole his camera during the night since he only has 4 future photographs instead of the normal 5, meaning Nana quietly took one. Tsunakichi looks at Nana and discovers a hidden picture in her zippered pocket. Nana is shown in the photograph dead and restrained by ropes. Tsunakichi feels this indicates Nana will die tonight instead of him. He invites Nana to meet him in the shed at 10 p.m. to verify his belief. Nana, on the other hand, is planning on killing him. When Tsunakichi enters the shed, Nana inadvertently drops the poison needle box she had prepared. As a result, she resorts to strangling Tsunakichi's neck with a rope, as shown in the first photograph. Tsunakichi, surprisingly, is prepared and manages to release himself. Nana takes advantage of the situation and stabs Tsunakichi's arm with a poison needle, causing him to fall. Tsunakichi is perplexed in his dying moments as to how he came to be dead while Nana is still living. Nana then says how she tricked Tsunakichi into falling into a trap by taking a selfie on his camera and misleading him into thinking it was one of his dream photographs. Before he dies, she shows him the actual one. Shortly afterward, Kyoya and Mikairu arrive at the shed, searching for Tsunakichi. They get heard about Nana and Tsunakichi's relationship in the fake photo Kyoya found earlier. Nana had anticipated their suspicions and concocted a story, claiming that Tsunakichi was attacked by an enemy. While Kyoya is skeptical, Nana provides an additional explanation, revealing that Tsunakichi had taken nude photos of her and blackmailed her into being his girlfriend. This revelation convinces Kyoya. Consequently, Nana is allowed to leave. Nevertheless, Nana makes the daring choice to retrieve the remaining photographs of the future from Tsunakichi's room. Much to her astonishment, she realizes that one significant photo of her pushing Nakajima off a cliff is missing. Tsunakichi had cunningly concealed it beneath his uniform. And now Mikairu stumbles upon it in the shed, completely oblivious to the gravity of the situation. Nana plots to kill Mikairu, but decides to do it later. Mikairu inquires about the photograph as he hands it to her. Nana, pretending to be unaware of the contents of the photograph, explains that Tsunakichi's skill wasn't always correct. The day following Tsunakichi's burial, Kiwi advises doing an autopsy on his body. But before he could uncover the casket, Tsunakichi unexpectedly awakens. Shinji, a student with the power to manipulate corpses, was revealed to be the mastermind behind this. Yuka, a girl at the funeral, chastises Shinji for his conduct. Shinji expresses his desire to find out the actual cause of Tsunakichi's death, rather than doing an autopsy. Kyoya advises talking to Tsunakichi directly. Nana attempts to interfere, fearful of being exposed for her own deeds, and claims to hear Tsunakichi's spirit screaming for him to be let to rest in peace. The students believe Nana and request that Shinji stop his necromantic practices. Shinji agreed, letting Tsunakichi to return to the casket. The next day, Nana visits Yuka in an attempt to obtain information on Shinji. She couldn't learn much, though, because Shinji hardly attends classes and spends the most of his time in his room. Nana resolves to pursue Yuka to find out the truth about Yuka and Shinji's relationship. She catches Yuka covertly meeting with Shinji one night, and it soon becomes clear that they are dating. Nana views this as a chance to get rid of both of them. Unfortunately, Hayao catches Nana observing Yuka and Shinji. The following day, when the students are about to have physical education class, Nana pretends to be ill and asks Mikairu to accompany her to the infirmary. However, as soon as Mikairu leaves, Nana leaves her bed and goes to the boys' dormitory, where she kills Shinji using a poison needle. On her way back to the infirmary, Nana stumbles upon a trapped cat, which makes her late in returning. When Kyoya and Mikairu visit Nana, they couldn't find her in the infirmary. At this point, Nana didn't seem to care if Kyoya suspected her. All she wants is to save the cat. She asks Kyoya and Yuka for help, with Yuka claiming to have super strength. However, Yuka refused, citing her allergy to cats. Eventually, they managed to rescue the cat. Later that night, Nana enters Yuka's room with the intent to kill her. However, from behind, someone strikes Nana, exposing himself to be Shinji, who should have died earlier that day. Yuka is revealed to be an actual necromancer, while Shinji acquires superhuman power. Shinji died before coming on the island, and Yuka revived him as an undead out of love for him. Nana learned the details of Shinji's death from Yuka. When Yuka threatened to expose Nana, she unexpectedly confesses to killing Nakajima and the others. Nana, on the other hand, claimed that she was not as cruel as Yuka since she led her victims to rest in peace. Nana offered a tempting offer to earn Yuka's trust, the ability to find out Shinji's thoughts even after death. Yuka, convinced of Nana's mind-reading abilities, has Shinji release Nana, but Nana deceitfully flees. Yuka pursued Nana into the mountains, creating revived corpses to catch her. The huge number of the zombies caused Nana to wonder about their beginnings, speculating on the destiny of the talented individuals who came before her. Despite the zombies' unrelenting pursuit, Nana managed to escape. When she was alone and thinking, she understood Yuka was controlling the zombies using the objects placed beneath her bed. Nana decided to keep running despite the increasing risk. Nana came across an abandoned cottage, which sparked an escape plot from Yuka and the undead. She tinkered with the door, expecting to stay inside until dawn. Yuka ultimately discovers Nana in the cottage but decides not to remain due to dangers, locks the door from the outside to prevent Nana from fleeing. She instead returns home with Shinji. Yuka intended to return with her zombie army later, under cover of darkness. However, her rage grew when Nana escaped capture during Yuka's nighttime return. Despite a thorough search, Nana continued to be evasive even after sunrise. Yuka, defeated, withdrew to the dormitory, having failed to achieve her intended target. As Yuka passed through the dormitory gates with Shinji on her back, Nana suddenly reappeared, pouncing on Yuka and searching for an item of control. She swiftly found Shinji's school paper, revealing Yuka's reliance on objects touched by the deceased. Holding the paper, Nana threatened Yuka, demanding they go to the cliff. There, Nana disclosed her escape from the locked hut by removing the screws from the hinges before Yuka's arrival. As Yuka grasped Nana's explanation, she realized she had been outsmarted. She apologizes and vowed not to expose Nana's crimes, returning her poison needles. However, Nana had decided to kill Yuka. She tosses Shinji's paper into the abyss and coerces Yuka into revealing the truth about his death. After disposing of Yuka's body, Nana encounters Kurara, who possesses the unique ability to produce poisonous saliva by regularly consuming snakes. Nana is aware that Kurara usually is accompanied by her best friend, Kaori, but when she sees Kurara alone without Kaori, she inquires about her friend. Kurara and Kaori's relationship appears to be broken as a result of an altercation. Kurara shows Nana their chat session in which Kaori cursed her to convince her. Nana, instead of sympathizing, views this as an opportunity to murder Kurara. Kurara is stabbed with a poisoned needle, and her things and mobile phone are taken. Nana then buries Kurara's remains alongside Yuka's previously controlled zombie corpses. She then goes to Kaori's room and poisons her contacts to make it appear as though Kurara did it because of their disagreement over Kaori's contacts. Following that, Nana contacts Kyoya and informs him of Yuka's death before leading him, Mikairu, Seiya, and Mogo to a cliff where she exposes Yuka's secrets. Nana, on the other hand, lies about Yuka's death, stating she leaped over the cliff after being asked about her wrongdoings, which resulted in Shinji's death and control of his corpse. Nana demands that Mogo burn all of the bodies, including Shinji and Kira's. Hayo becomes suspicious of Nana's misdeeds and exposes her in front of their friends, pointing out her lack of an alibi during the killings. A scream from the girls' dormitory interrupts their chat, and Kori is discovered dead in her chamber. Nana appears to be taken aback by Kori's body, but a quick smile indicates her enjoyment with her technique of murder. She has an alibi this time since she was with Kyoya and the others when Kori died. Kyoya sees Kori's hand posture, which suggests she may have attempted to remove her own eyes. He looks into her death and finds poison in her contact lens bag. This leads him and the others to suspect Kurara, who is notorious for making poison and has been gone from school since lunchtime. Kyoya searches Kurara's room, finding information about her search for snakes in the mountains. Realizing that pursuing her there would be futile, Kyoya decides to reinvestigate Kaori's room. During the investigation, Kyoya checks Kaori's cell phone and discovers a text message from Kurara sent at 3 p.m. while they were on the cliff. This message convinces Kyoya that Nana is the killer. He contacts some of his classmates to share his theory. According to Kyoya's deduction, Nana killed Kurara in the morning while she was searching for snakes in the mountains. As a result, Kira's body won't be found since it was burned along with the zombie corpses of Yuka. While they were at the cliff, Nana covertly sent a message to Kaori's phone using Kira's cell phone, which she stole after murdering her. This was done in order to deflect Kyoya's attention away from herself. As a result, Kurara's phone is now in Nana's hands. Kyoya examines Nana, convinced of his detection, hoping to discover Kurara's phone on her. Unfortunately, Kyoya is unable to locate a phone since Nana ingeniously concealed it on a zombie body. As the corpse deteriorated in the sunshine, its finger would push the send button, sending a message on Kira's phone that Nana had prepared, which would be sent to Kaori. When Kyoya charges Nana without providing evidence, the other students promptly defend her. Mikairu even demands an apology from Kyoya, who grudgingly agrees. Later that night, Nana sits alone outside the dormitory, thinking about how she will dispose of the poison she used to murder Kaori. Mikairu arrives out of nowhere, surprising Nana. Nana believes Mikairu is a foe and prepared to protect herself. Mikairu, on the other hand, surprised Nana by suggesting that she take a rest while Mikairu stands watch. Nana accepts and closes her eyes. But just as she does, Mikairu thrusts a knife into her throat, stating she has always suspected Nana of being the murderer. Despite Mikairu's efforts, Nana disarms her, hurting Mikairu's hand in the process. Two other students come from the dormitory and urge Mikairu to return, ignorant of Nana's involvement. The next day, Nana takes Mikairu to a cliff to confront her about the previous night's occurrences. Nana understands the Mikairu in front of her is an imposter after observing the wound on his hand. The wound would have healed by now if she were the actual Mikairu. Nana deduces that the person in front of her has the capacity to shift shape, and the figure soon exposes himself to be Jin, a former pupil. Jin takes Nana to a secret cave and confesses to knowing all of her killings. He'd been disguised as a cat that Kyoya had looked after, watching everything. Jin reveals that 5 years ago, the island's talented individuals fought in a civil war to decide who was the greatest, and he was the only survivor owing to his special powers. He seeks Nana's cooperation in investigating the central government's involvement in instigating the civil war. Jin then threatens to kill her if she refuses to cooperate. However, Nana poisons Jin's coffee, causing him intense pain. To her surprise, Jin not only copy appearances, but also their talents as well. From this revelation, Nana believes that she found the true enemy of humanity. Jin refuses to let her leave so easily. He transformed once again, taking on the form of Mogo, and attacked her using his fire powers. Surprisingly, after inflicting considerable harm, Jin brought Nana to Mikairu's room where she could receive care. When Nana regained consciousness, Mikairu was overjoyed, explaining that she had discovered Nana lying in front of her room the previous night. Since then, Mikairu had been consumed with worry, fearing that Nana had been targeted by enemies of humanity. Witnessing Mikairu's innocence, Nana confesses that she harbored no fear of those enemies. In reality, she hates them because they were responsible for her parents' deaths. Nana, on the other hand, blames herself for their demise because it was her own irresponsibility that allowed attackers to easily enter her home via an open window when she was a child. This horrible tragedy tormented her, and she is still burdened with responsibility for their deaths. After Nana has done sharing her sad history, Hayao comes and demands that both Nana and Mikairu follow him to a fellow student's room, which has been filled by other students. When they arrived, they found Ryuji's body, brutally killed. Unlike in past cases, Nana is not suspected of the crime this time. Kyoya, posing as a detective, questioned Mogo, whose room was close to Ryuji's. Mogo had been in his room all night, teaching his 3 minions, and none of them had heard anything from Ryuji's chamber. Kyoya then questioned Mogo's 3 minions and asked them to demonstrate their abilities to him. The first guy interviewed merely has the ability to change his voice, the second can produce an astral projection, and the third is a magnetic man. Ryuji's girlfriend, Fuko, who discovered his lifeless body, appears suspect, especially once Kyoya discovers her power to manipulate the elements. Kyoya asked Fuko to show off her skill, so she summoned a blast of wind, which happened to coincide with Ryuji's death in his chamber, where the window was completely open, enabling air to enter freely. Just as Kyoya was ready to begin the investigation, her teacher calls to say that the school officials are on the phone. It turned out that Kyoya had reported the murders at school to them. This forced Nana and Mikairu to continue the investigation without Kyoya's assistance. They managed to find evidence suggesting that Ryuji had opened his bedroom window not to invite the wind in, but rather because he realized he was in danger and attempted to escape. While Nayana is alone in her room, her teacher knocks on her door to deliver her new uniform. Suddenly, Nayana remembers her missing poison bottle, which she had kept in the pocket of her old uniform. It was highly likely that Mikairu had taken it while taking care of her. Before Nayana could search Mikairu's room for the poison, Kyoya returns and invited her to interrogate Fuko. During the interrogation, Fuko failed to provide any new information and instead broke down in tears, imploring Nayana to help her avenge Ryuji's death. After the interrogation, Nana finally had the opportunity to search Mikairu's room. Instead of the poison bottle, she discovered Mikairu's diary. In the diary, Mikairu chronicled their experiences since they first met in class, expressing her deep trust and friendship towards Nana. Mikairu couldn't stomach seeing Nana in suffering, especially after learning of her parents' deaths. Nana was deep in her diary when Jin emerged behind her with the missing poison bottle. While returning the bottle to Nana, he committed to find out why Nana was assigned as a murderer. He did, however, softly chastise Nana for questioning Mikairu, underlining that Mikairu was a sweet girl who had always treated Nana well. Jin thought it was ridiculous that Nana would distrust her. Jin asked Nana to check Mikairu's restroom before leaving, since he was concerned about her long absence. Nana was shocked to see Mikairu paralyzed in the bathtub. Nana prioritized Mikairu's safety and devoted 2 days to her care. Mikairu eventually regained consciousness, explaining that she had collapsed while utilizing her powers to help a cat. Jin approached Mikairu with an injured cat, asking for her help. Mikairu successfully saved the cat, but her overuse of her powers led her to pass out while being washed. During this period, Jin came upon a dead rabbit with a neck wound identical to the rescued cat's. Realizing that the person responsible for harming the rabbit was still present, Jin confronted them. He stated that he was aware of their involvement in Ryuji's death. Despite his lack of care for the killer's next victim, Jin urged that they stop injuring and murdering innocent animals. The scene shifts to the central government office, where the committee orders Nana's mentor to go to the island. However, his mission is not to save the talented individuals, but to expedite the process of eliminating them. Back on the island, Mikairu appears to be recovering gradually, prompting Nana to remember that she had wasted a lot of time caring for Mikairu. She realizes that she must return to her work of killing the students, and she has already selected her next target, Falcol. If her superiors were to find out that she had taken care of Mikairu instead of killing her, they would surely execute her. While she values Mikairu's life over her own, Nana wants to understand why Mikairu has shown her such kindness and has healed her wounds multiple times. Mikairu reveals that she had a friend who died of cancer, and ever since then, she has regretted her inability to heal her best friend. Michiru's abilities can only cure outside wounds and not lethal diseases such as cancer. That is why she has been attempting to heal Nana in order to avoid losing any more friends. Nana is emotionally moved by Mikairu's story, which causes her to hesitate in carrying out the mission of murdering Mikairu. Mikairu pays Nana a visit in her room to express her concerns over Nana's parents' deaths, informing her that Nana could not have been involved in any way. They later become best friends, exchange presents, and have a great time together. Jin, on the other hand, warns Nana that Mikairu may be in danger because he saw her walking towards the shore. Nana goes to find Mikairu, but she receives a call from her mentor, who orders her to kill all of the pupils on the island. Meanwhile, Mikairu meets the murderer but is saved just in time by Nana. Nana is hurt in the process, but she insults Mikairu in order to get him to leave her. Mikairu flees, and the assassin, Rentoru, attempts to kill Nana. Kailia, on the other hand, strangles Rentoru's true body, rescuing Nana. Nana is seriously injured and on the verge of death, but she takes relief in the thought that she has finally met an actual friend. Mikairu unexpectedly returns and cures Nana's injuries, but at the cost of her own life. Following that, a sad Nana hugs Mikairu's body, sobbing in anguish since she has lost her one true friend. Al is a young farmer who enjoys spending his days looking to his father's vegetable field. One day, Al saw a small homeless girl named Ilvia being tortured by guys from whom she had stolen vegetable. He follows her to the mountains, recognizing that she is starving and only trying to live. Every day, Al gives her food, and their friendship becomes stronger as they play together and get closer. But one day, the men from whom Ilvia had stolen asked that she be taken away and sold into slavery. But, just in time, Al's father shows there with a bag of rice, paying off the guys and saves Ilvia from a horrific end. Ilvia is later adopted by the family, who accepts her as their own. Despite the passage of 2 years, Ilvia continues to face bullying in their little village. She covers her feelings of sorrow in order not to burden her newfound family. However, while on a treasure hunt in the mountains, Al's buddy, Testa, ultimately tells him the truth. During their journey, Testa and Al come into a weird cave. Al discovers odd markings on a stone within. When he touches it, he is faced with a vision of the evil god and collapses. Al awakens from his nightmare to find that their hometown has been destroyed by a volcanic explosion. A lot of people have perished, leaving the survivors to ration their little food supply. Al's parents are out of town looking for a new place to live, while Ilvia cares for her crippled brother. Concerned for Al's health, Ilvia chooses to share her meal with him. She lies about eating, progressively starving herself as she sacrifices herself for her adored sibling. It's too late by the time Al realizes the truth, and he's crushed by the loss of the girl who had become his sister. Al is plagued with remorse and blames himself for Ilvia's death. He recalls making a commitment to her that he would cultivate food for her to eat. After 15 years, Al goes out on a nice, sunny day to bring his vegetables to the bustling town. As he gets closer to the city, he discovers a group of adventurers engaged in a furious battle with a scary S-rank dragon. Fear pervades his veins, but not for his own safety. He's more concerned about the dragon shifting its attention to his precious vegetables once the adventurers have been killed. Al pulls a carrot from his cart and throws it at the dragon, trying to distract the terrifying beast. To his surprise and astonishment, the carrot bursts on impact, killing the dragon instantaneously. Confusion and disbelief whirl through him, but he doesn't have time to think about it. Fearing that someone has seen him, Al rushes on his way, attempting to blend into Mega's crowded streets. As Al arrives at the city gates, his heart races when he witnesses Fal, a young woman, being kidnapped. Without a moment's hesitation, he leaps into action, instinctively fighting off the kidnapper. The rescue is swift and successful, and Al continues on his way to make his delivery. As he tries to leave the city, however, the guards at the gate stop him. The news of his earlier heroics has spread quickly, and the mysterious woman he saved turns out to be none other than the kingdom's princess, Fal. She wishes to meet her savior and express her gratitude properly. When they finally meet face to face, Princess Fal is deeply impressed by Al's bravery and humility. She offers him a position at the palace, but memories of his past force him to decline her offer. Princess Fal desperately tries to convince Al to stay by offering him a vast, fertile field near the capital. Curious about her determination, Al learns that the criminal he defeated had an incredible strength of 500 points, far above the average person's 50 points. Surprisingly, Al's own strength is 65-0, dwarfing even the legendary hero's 1,000 points. As adventurers assemble to discuss the killed dragon, Al seizes the chance to flee and return home. When Testa arrives, he informs him that monsters are nearing their village. Concerned about his crop, Al instructs Testa to leave first so that he may haste to protect his fields. While hiding from the creatures, Al notices a noise nearby. He investigates and discovers Fal and her father, the king, under attack by Romeo, the Demon King's terrifying commander. As the royal family prepares for the worst, Al dashes in with his plow, employing underground excavation to stop the onslaught and deep plowing to build distance between them. Romeo attempts a surprise attack on Al, but Al's reflexes are too rapid. He stops the sword with his own hands and throws Romeo into a rock wall. Romeo, unable to accept defeat, unleashes the power of his demons, transforming into a terrifying beast with enormous teeth and wings. He exposes his level as 78 and assaults Al with evil magic. Despite Romeo's strength, Al avoids the blow and counters with a hard punch that puts him out cold. Following this, Al is escorted to the castle, where the grateful king praises him for rescuing the realm and invites him to become its servant. Al, on the other hand, stays loyal to his heart, stating that all he wants is to be a farmer. In gratitude of his valor, the royal family grants him the promised land and requests that he join a guild to assist the people on occasion. Fal accompanies Al to the Adventurers Guild to register him, but Al prefers to keep his abilities hidden. As a result, he is assigned the lowest rank. Eager to prove himself, Al requests a quest and is assigned a G-rank task to collect 10 herbs from a nearby forest. Upon arriving at the forest, Al successfully gathers 9 herbs. Suddenly, darkness envelops the forest, and the ground trembles beneath their feet. A massive black dragon, Ouroboros, emerges, exuding dark magic and towering menacingly over the adventurers. Al quickly checks the dragon's status board and realizes its attack power is over 200,000. Fearing for their lives, the group retreats and reports the encounter to the guild master. As the guild master explains more about Ouroboros, a flood of traumatic memories overwhelms Helen, the guild receptionist. She recalls the horrific day when her brother Lay was killed by the very same dragon. Overcome with emotion, she collapses. Determined to help, Al and Fal visit the ruins of Helen's old village, which Ouroboros destroyed. As they explore, Al hears a mysterious voice calling out to him. He follows the sound and comes to a grave and a ghost. The ghost identifies himself as Lay, Helen's brother, and reveals that she is their village's solitary survivor. He says that she lost her memories as a result of the trauma she endured. Ouroboros has reemerged and Helen is in terrible danger. Lay narrates his own sorrowful encounter with Ouroboros, which resulted in his death while defending his sister. The dragon feeds on fear and bad energy, making Al fearful that he won't be able to kill it. Lay, on the other hand, proposes that if they can create the opposing energy that Ouroboros desires, they may be able to hold off the dragon and create a plan of attack. As part of their strategy, Lay entrusts Al and Fal with a message for Helen. Al and Fal get there, eager to execute their attack. But they find Helen has gone into the forest by herself to fight Ouroboros. As she approaches the dragon, her fear overcomes her, and she is filled with images of her brother's death. Ouroboros takes advantage of the situation, pushing her into attempting to stab herself. Helen is ready to plunge the knife into her skin when Al swoops in and stops her. Because of his involvement, Ouroboros knocks him against a tree. Undaunted, Al lunges towards the dragon, landing a strong punch. Experiencing pain for the first time, Ouroboros becomes enraged and launches a relentless assault on Al. Although the dragon overpowers him, Al refuses to back down. Helen, fearing for Al's life, pleads with him to give up, believing the dragon's true target is her. She cannot bear the thought of another person dying because of her. But Al, determined to save her, carries her away and shares Lay's final message. Lay urges Helen to find happiness so that his sacrifice to save her will not be in vain. Hearing these words, a sense of peace washes over Helen, and the sky suddenly fills with bright sun rays. Without the negative emotions to feed on, Ouroboros weakens. Al taunts the dragon, provoking it to swoop down in an attempt to kill him. But Al lands a devastating punch that knocks out the dragon, causing it to vanish. As Al and Helen prepare to celebrate their hard-won victory, Helen suddenly stabs Al. Al realizes that Helen is possessed by the evil dragon and attempts to heal himself with a potion. But his weakened body causes him to spill it, and the possessed Helen taunts him, boasting about how easily she could kill him. Just as she's about to strike again, a large glowing wing blocks her path. A holy dragon, Mirage, appears to protect Al and lends him the power of regeneration to withstand Helen's attacks. Mirage shares the method to defeating Ouroboros without injuring Helen, and Al rushes to put the plan into action. He hits her in the stomach, thinking that he eliminated the terrible dragon. However, he quickly discovers that Ouroboros had fooled him. Al is caught off guard and feels fear, and the dragon takes the opportunity to try to take over his mind. Shockingly, once inside Al's head, Ouroboros is overwhelmed by Al's single-minded attention on farming. This unwavering resolve breaks the mental link, and the wicked dragon is ejected from Al's head. Mirage seizes this chance to use exorcism magic to defeat Ouroboros, leading Al to fall. When Al wakes, Helen informs him of the battle's outcome. She also shows that she retains some of the bad dragon's strength, allowing her to morph her limbs and legs. With the threat gone, Al can return to his calm agricultural life with Testa. Soon after, he receives a letter from his parents, who have relocated to a neighboring city. Al sets out on a voyage to pay them a visit and pick up some fertilizer. Along the journey, he meets Rory, another adventurer who saves him from a potentially lethal fight with a lusty orc. Because Al and Rory are traveling in the same direction, they decide to travel together. Rory, a descendant of the hero who eliminated the last demon leader, has a duty to utilize her special abilities to defend and save humanity. Eventually, they part ways, and Al heads home, only to be immediately knocked out by his overenthusiastic mother. Her love for her son is so intense that she inadvertently crushes his bones every time she embraces him. Al's father, still very much alive, misinterprets the situation and punches Al, thinking his wife has been unfaithful. Afterward, Al asks his father about the location of the fertilizer he needs. His father shows him on a map, which also reveals the hotel Rory is staying in. However, his father finds it strange, as he knows the city doesn't have any hotels. Curious, Al decides to get the fertilizer and investigate the hotel, but on his way, he hears a man calling for help. The man claims he was attacked by a demon, but a blue-haired girl saved him by luring the demon into the forest. Believing the girl to be Rory, Al rushes to assist her. However, as he walks away, the man smirks and snaps his fingers, indicating that it was all a trick of the light. In the woods, Al hears a lady cry and confronts a leech creature. He swiftly saves her, but she changes into a monster and tries to eat him. Rory arrived just in time to save Al. The previous shady guy reappears, mockingly cheering and informing Rory that she is no heroine if she can be tricked by imaginary demons. The stranger exposes himself to be Loki, a demon who, alongside Romeo and the evil dragon, works for the evil lord. Their aim is to destroy any challenges to their plan, with Rory, Al, and Helen as targets. Rory tries to fight Loki but is swiftly overwhelmed and knocked down. Al rushes to her rescue, applying his healing power on her, and decides to face down Loki. Al's punches, however, have no effect on Loki, who casually snatches his arm and throws him into a tree. Loki uses his magic to lock Al in a hole, but Al swiftly recovers and launches another attack. But he is no match for the crafty demon. Loki calls more creatures to the battle, but Al and Rory fight back, destroying the weaker opponents. However, Loki obtains the upper hand by bombarding them with explosive magic as his leeches attack. When the leeches bite Al, they turn to stone. It turns out that the fertilizer Al was carrying also works as a pesticide, destroying the insects. Realizing that Loki can't summon more leeches, Al charges at him. However, Loki continues to dodge every attack, inspired by Al's determination. Rory finds the strength to stand and live up to her ancestors' legacy. She quickly moves behind Loki and stabs him, but he seems unfazed by the attack. With newfound resolve, Rory taps into the power of the good god to awaken her hero abilities. She strikes Loki with a powerful slash imbued with holy magic, causing him to finally succumb to his wounds and perish. In the aftermath of their battle, Al returns to his farm only to discover dark vines infesting the area. He decides to sell the good vegetables, use the money to buy pesticide, and clear the vines. However, just after purchasing the pesticide, he spots a young girl being harassed by 3 men on the streets. Al intervenes and defeats the men, learning that the girl, Julia, is a demon and the demon lord's daughter. The town's postman, who is also a demonic being, tells Julia that Al doesn't hate demons. Relieved, she requests Al's assistance in protecting her people, thinking they are in danger. Julia tells that Volp, her nanny, had sent her to Megas for her protection. Despite the fact that the boat trip to demon territory takes 3 days, Al selects for a more quick method, running across the river while carrying Julia. Upon their arrival, Volp attacks Al and Julia, leaving the young demon girl confused about her babysitter's actions. Al skillfully avoids the most of the strikes, receiving a few cuts in the process. When Volp attacks Julia, Al rushes in to protect her, fearing that Volp is being controlled by someone. As the fight continues, Al's mother, a previous commander, comes and shocks Volp. Al and Julia enter the castle, only to see a terrifying sight unfolding in front of them. Guards lie unconscious and injured all around, including Julia's father, the Demon King. The air is heavy with tension and terror as the two explore the terrible scene. As they look for answers, they come into a surviving guard who discloses alarming information. The attacker appears to be Al's mother, who is now set to kill Julia. Al's instincts takes over, and he quickly intercepts the strike, rescuing Julia. He confronts the attacker, confidently stating that he knows she isn't his mother because his real mother is far more affectionate. Caught in her deception, the mysterious figure admits to the disguise and finally reveals her true identity, Ilvia, Al's adoptive sister. Al is dumbfounded as he gazes at Ilvia, the sister he believed to be dead. Her sudden appearance leaves him questioning reality. She reveals that the evil god had transformed her into a powerful weapon, and to demonstrate, she unleashes a devastating magical attack aimed at Julia. Al's instincts kick in, and he leaps to protect Julia, narrowly avoiding the destruction that follows in the wake of the attack. Ilvia claims that Al's hidden powers granted by the evil god have grown stronger, even though they remain sealed. Al is confused, as he has never encountered the evil god. But Ilvia insists that he met the evil god in a cave 15 years ago and that all his skills and titles were bestowed upon him by the deep. If they join her side, she promises to disclose everything. Ilvia approaches Al, attempting to use her mind-controlling eyes on him. Julia, on the other hand, disrupts the moment by fondly calling Al as her older brother. Ilvia's jealousy boils, and she takes Julia by the neck fiercely, saying that Al is her only brother. Julia continues to be stubborn, referring to Al as her older brother, which enraged Ilvia even more. The moment Ilvia prepares to slice Julia's throat, time stops. In the middle of the mayhem, the good goddess comes before Al, promising to wash the evil god's energies from his heart and bestow her own powers onto him. With time still frozen, she unfreezes it and rewinds it by 1 second, allowing Al a chance to save Julia from Ilvia's lethal hold. With his newfound magical powers, Al summons vines that quickly grow and encircle Ilvia. He pushes Julia away from the danger, but Ilvia will not budge. She dashes towards Julia, summoning a blade with her black power, only to be stopped by Al's protecting vines. The conflict continues, with the vines relentlessly holding Ilvia back. Volp appears out of nowhere and unleashes his fire magic on Ilvia. With Ilvia presumably beaten, the immediate threat has subsided. Nonetheless, Al can't shake the idea that Ilvia has escaped. Her words continue to haunt him, and he feels driven to investigate the cave she mentioned. Checking his data, Al finds the goddess' intervention came at a cost. He has lost all of his prior powers and is now just 4,000 strength. The anime opens with the introduction of our main character, Mo Fun, a third-year high school student. He was concerned about the entrance test he had to take, and it wasn't because he wasn't doing well in class, but because the subject was about magic. All of the third-grade kids in this academy will soon attend the desired school of magic, but they must first pass a difficult exam. Mo Fun admits that he hasn't had enough time for learning, because 3 months ago, he was resting in the mountains when he was approached by a mysterious elderly guy who handed him a necklace. As a result, his classmates constantly irritate and mock him for being the most likely not to pass, and humiliate him for being the worst in the class. We are then introduced to a young man named Mubai, who is the polar opposite of Mo Fun and the most popular in his class, as well as being a member of an ice magic family. Although his father has always been extremely modest and does everything as necessary for the sake of his kid, he is still concerned about his son's future, as his grades are low and he does not have enough points to get into the School of Magic. However, he informs his son that he has found him a job as a delivery driver, which he can accomplish instead of using magic. But Mo Fun begs his father and vows to study even harder to get into the school. so his father assures him that he would do all possible to ensure his admission to the magic school. Mo Fun was heading home with a buddy when he noticed his father talking to his boss. He is the head of the Mu family, the city's wealthiest and most influential family. This family, on the other hand, has an abusing personality, particularly with Mo Fun's family members. We learn via a flashback scene that they had known the Mu family for quite some time. And when Mo Fun was younger, he spent a lot of time with the Mu family's daughter. The daughter then decided to flee her family since she disliked with the way they did things. So she sneaks out and asks Mo Fun to help her escape. However, they were caught by the boss, and he ended up punishing Mo Fun's father for his actions. We now go back to the present, and the boss said that he will help with his son's future and make sure he gets into the School of Magic, but only in exchange for their house and mortgage, so he can turn it into his land. His father then agrees to give up their home, just so Ma Fun can have a chance to become a magician. Later on, when he breaks the news to his son, Ma Fun is ecstatic about going to the School of Magic. But his father doesn't mention the fact that he had to give up their own home. Instead, he informs Ma Fun that after he attends the Magic Academy, he would be renting out their house. But Ma Fun knows the truth since he saw him earlier with the boss. The following day, everyone begins their first day at magic school, where all students must awaken their elemental powers. Some of the pupils talk about the elemental powers they have after waking, and they think lightning and fire are the most difficult to attain. Everyone is given a badge to wear, and as they gain their strength, it will light up according to the element they possess. For example, green represents wind, red represents fire, blue represents ice, and gold represents light. Mo Fun is mocked by his classmates for being the lone student who did not pass the tests, and no one should be astonished if he cannot be woken. Each pupil must lay their hand on the stone to uncover their elemental strength. Mubai is the first to use the stone, and he, like the rest of his family, was granted the ice power. Once you have obtained the elemental power, the badge will display stars signifying your degree of skill. Most people, however, do not have many stars to begin with, but Mubai already has one, demonstrating his potential. The other kids use the stone in turn until the instructor shouts out Ma Fun's name, and the others begin to laugh, stating that he would be given the harshest power for failing the exam. Then Ma Fun walks up and stands in front of the class and places his hand on the stone. The others are still laughing since he doesn't know how to use the stone. But the teacher helps him. After some time, nothing happens. Then the whole class gets distracted by the classroom next door, because a student has obtained the purple ability, which is lightning. It is known as the rarest ability along with the element of fire. While everyone leaves the classroom, Ma Fun closes his eyes and the stone lights up purple, but it also lights up red at the same time, indicating that Ma Fun has gained not only the element of fire, but also the lightning ability. Something that has never been seen before, and also making him the most powerful student in the school. Although, nobody saw what happened, because they were being distracted by the other student next door, who also obtained the lightning power. But they all see that Ma Fun has acquired the element of fire. The teacher congratulates him, and the other students are shocked because they all expected him to receive one of the worst elements. Ma Fun then begins to laugh within his thoughts because he is aware that he has just received lightning power. But everyone believes he just possesses the fire element. 2 months later, their teacher informs all of the kids that 7 stars will appear once they are awoken. They will also need to learn how to concentrate in order to control the stars, so they can create a star path, allowing them to unleash their full power. The teacher requests that Mubai demonstrate how to arrange the stars. Mubai has already received 5 stars, making him the top-ranked student in the class. Ma Fun, on the other hand, just has 1 star. They all mock and laugh at him since he hasn't progressed with his element, and they all claim he's a disgrace to the rest of the class. However, he only has 1 star beside his badge because it solely reflects his fire element, and not his other lightning power, which has already reached 6 stars and requires him to conquer the 7th. Ma Fun later runs across his sister in the park. His sister is unable to walk without the assistance of a wheelchair. However, Ma Fun discovers that somebody have grabbed her wheelchair and begins to mock his sister. He approached the goons and asked for the wheelchair back, but they told him to leave or they would render him disabled like his sister. He becomes enraged, and at this point, he utilizes the stars to unleash his full strength, forming the star path and triggering the 7th star. Ma Fun utilizes his lightning power to deal with the goons, who beg for mercy and flee in terror. Mubai pays a visit to the family's boss, with whom he discusses his 5-star talents, and the boss is proud of Mubai for how far he has come. He asks Mubai about Ma Fun, to which he replies saying that Ma Fun is only a 1 star and is branded as the school's worst magician. The boss told Mubai they will need to find a way to take Mafan out of the class and make him fail the next exam. The next day, Mubai asks him how he plans to get Mafan expelled from the school, to which he replies saying he will use this small stone, also known as a magic stone, which can absorb energy, and they can use it to make sure Mofun gets worse than a D in his next exam. But their plan might not work out so well, because Mofun has been training his fire power and has the ability to use 5 stars. But he says it's still not good enough, and that his fire energy is too low, so he begins to concentrate more than ever before, to show to the Mu family that he is a worthy magician deserving of a place in the School of Magic. The exam day has arrived, and the teacher informs them that they will be tested on how powerful they have gotten over the previous few months. To test their abilities, they will utilize a crystal ball, which will light depending on the level of power they have attained. And if it burns brightly enough, they've grown strong enough. All of the pupils form a line and begin testing their abilities. Mu Ningzhu, the school's most excellent student, has been chosen to demonstrate the test before the rest of the students participate. When she utilizes the crystal, it displays the strength of her ice magic, which astounds the other pupils. Everyone begins to use the ball and disclose their power levels in turn. Some of them receive B as well as A. Mubai ultimately gets his chance and achieves the grade S, which is the highest possible grade. Then Mafan's name is called out to test his ability, and as he is called out, the boss instructs the examiner to place the magical stone beneath the crystal ball in order to absorb Mafan's real strength, resulting in his receiving just a B. Mafan is skeptical and suspects something is wrong because he believes his ability is much bigger than this. So Mafan uses the ball once more, and this time he breaks the stone. After observing Mafan's second attempt, his new teacher suspects something is not right with the crystal and informs them that it must be defective, so the inspector replaces it. And it is only after shifting the ball that we witness Mafan's actual power. As a result, he received a S grade, making his classmates proud. He also goes on to tell the examiners that he also wants to do the optional test. And here is where he shocks the other classmates as they get to witness his true powers of the fire element. And he's now considered the #1 most powerful in his class. After that, the Mu family leader Muzuo offers Mofun a ring as a symbol of his respect and admiration for getting an S rating, and asks Mofun to put all their family differences aside and offers him to work for him and represent the Mu family. But Mofun takes this opportunity to tell him that him and the rest of his family are total scum, who go around humiliating others just like they did to his father. The teacher tells Mofun to calm down and to apologize to Mu Juno. But Mofun says he won't apologize and mentions all the things the Mu family did to them 3 years ago. The Mu family tells the teacher he should be kicked out for being rude to guests. But the teacher said he can't be expelled just for having an argument, unless it went too far. So Mubai challenges Mofun to a duel. The head of the Mu family then announced that his foster son would be the opponent in the duel. Mofun accepts the duel match named Yuan. However, the fight can only take place in 2 years since they are not yet old enough and the school will not allow it. 2 years later, the new semester begins, and the teacher welcomes them to the elite class. Only the top-ranked mages will obtain rare relics called as magic EQs, which will vastly boost their training. The EQ will be available to the top 4 students in the class for 1 month. However, the teacher informs Mofun that because to his disagreement with the Mu family, he would only be able to use the EQ equipment for 10 days. But Mofun has another EQ, which is the necklace his grandfather gave him. Miss Tang Yu, his instructor, pays a visit to Mofun and informs him that this necklace is the most powerful relic, which was supposed to be extinct. She said that this necklace is a form of EQ that absorbs all souls and spirits and continues to increase their abilities, so he should treasure it. The pupils travel to the mountains to meet with the commander of an army for some basic training, or so they thought, because the army's chief wants these pupils to engage in an exercise called the hunting program, in which these students would hunt real rivals and put their magical talents to the test. So Mofun and the others begin performing various tasks, that is, until they stumble to a cave. The army's commander instructed them to find a bracelet that he had left within the cave. However, one-eyed wolves lurk within. The commander informed them that the one-eyed wolf was hiding within the cave. But that was a falsehood because the wolf is truly known as the spirit wolf, which is under their control to be soft with the pupils. To truly put their abilities to the test, they all enter the cave and ultimately come upon the big wolf. Most of the students are frightened, apart from Mubai who uses his ice magic, but it doesn't do much damage to the monster. Mofun then quickly helps a girl who is brave enough to step in front of the beast. But Mofun knew she wouldn't be able to harm it, and took her out the cave. But the same girl ran back inside to prove that she's a strong mage. However, even her second attempt didn't hurt the monster, and she was saved just in time by the student with the lightning power. Mubai also goes in for his second attempt, but gets thrown to the ground. Then Mo Fun enters the cave just in time, and puts his magic to the test by activating his stars. He uses the fire element to blast fireballs at the beast, and it unlocked a new level of ignition, and now he's at level 2 ignite. This shocks the teachers who were watching from above. The commander informs the other instructors that the wolf is no longer responding to his commands and that he is unable to control it, and that the pupils may be in danger, so they proceed to save them. Because the beast was out of control, Mo Fun and his friend Zhang Zhao lured into the cave to safeguard the other pupils. After they both enticed him, the beast attacked Zhang Zhao and knocked him down. Then, for the first time, Mo Fun uses both of his skills to defeat the spirit wolf. After fighting the beast, his necklace begins to absorb all of the spirit's energy, making him even more strong. His teacher expresses amazement that a kid could defeat the wolf. The strength of the spirit wolf is equal to that of an actual one-eyed wolf. As soon as the work is done, all pupils will receive a test score, all because of Ma Fun. But Ma Fun is unconcerned with the honors since he is more concerned with unleashing his ultimate strength. He was able to activate level 2 fire after defeating the beast and understands how strong it was against the monster. As a result, he strives for the same level 2 power for his lightning ability. He recalls what Miss Yang said to him about the necklace, which he can use to absorb the souls of many different monsters' souls and spirits. So he chooses to become a hunter in order to further evolve the necklace and so improve his powers. So Mo Fun goes into town to join the hunter team. He enters the Hunter's Hall and inquires of a stranger about joining the city hunters. He informs Mo Fun that there is a long line to join, and informs him that they do not want magicians who do not have at least a fire power. So Mo Fun asks, "How about lightning power?" To which the man replies saying you shouldn't lie to try and join and to tell the truth. The man seems to believe Ma Fun truly doesn't have the lightning power, and explains that only 1 in 1,000 mages acquire this element. So Ma Fun leaves while he's talking to him. The leader of the hunters is tired of all the low-ranking mages who keep applying to the city hunters, and asks his associates to only bring in the people who have had some experience as a hunter before. They then eventually get to Mo Fun and ask him for his hunter certificate, to which he replies saying he doesn't own one. So they tell him to get lost, as they only want experienced hunters and not newbies. He tells them that he is a lightning power mage and shocks them as they have never seen a lightning mage in person, as they are very rare. They ask him to demonstrate, and he creates a star trail with his lightning skills. He identifies himself as Fanmo. He then meets the leader, who welcomes him into the city hunters and informs him that they have a task at a nearby school, where the monsters have attacked. They instruct Mufan to stay behind because he is a new member. However, he informs them that he wants to accompany them on this journey. Mufan then discovers that the school attacked by the monsters is really his sister's school. So he phones her and she says she's okay. The other pupils, however, have been abducted by the creatures. Mufan arrives on the location and begins to explore, where he soon encounters the one-eyed beast, who appears to be incredibly powerful. He fights the beast, and luckily it reaches the rest of the crew, who now show why they are known as the elite group of hunters. That's when the group's newest member made a mistake while utilizing her abilities. But, owing to Mo Fun's lightning power, he was able to defeat the beast. The beast was completely immobilized, protecting the girl from harm. They all appreciate Mo Fun for saving her life, and embrace him as a member of the squad. Mo Fun starts to fit in with the squad and becomes a recognized hunter. The Mu family has been training Yuan, the most powerful male ice mage, and he will be the one who face off against Mo Fun. Yong inquires as to why he chose him as the magician to face Mo Fun, and the boss adds that it's to honor his coming of age, and that he may invite the entire family. Meanwhile, at school, his friend Ju Min invites Mo Fun to meet him after school. She explains that she heard stories about strange things happening at this compound and she wanted to investigate the area with the strongest mage in the class, to which he agrees and helps her discover the area. They come across another one-eyed wolf, but this one was different, and he tells her this is the real one-eyed wolf that the city hunters have been trying to find all this time. He told Min that he will give the location to the rest of the team, but Juman already phoned the police. The wolf heard the sound of the ringing phone and instantly chased them. So Mofan does everything he possibly can to take care of the monster. However, even after several powerful attacks, he cannot seem to kill the beast. That's when a member of the city hunters called Kai Tang arrives from the city. She is an ice user and a member of the Mu family. Then Min Ju informed her about Mo Fun, who was fighting the one-eyed beast at the moment. and they ran over to assist him just in time to paralyze the beast. Kai Tang recalls seeing Mo Fun when he was younger, and she caught him through the window. She then informed Yuan that his name is Mo Fun, that he attends a magic school, and that he insulted their uncle. Yuan is astonished since this is the first time he has seen Mo Fun because this is the opponent he would be facing. When Mo Fun escapes, she summons the city hunters and explains that they have tamed the wolf but need Mo Fun's lightning skills to immobilize it. When he arrives, he is greeted by all of the other hunters, who request that he use the lightning power on the wolf. However, after utilizing his power, the wolf becomes bright red and transforms into what is known as a general class and becomes much more powerful. Some agree to back out and escape since the chances are stacked against them. But the captain insists on at least fighting to get around it. Many lives are at danger if they do nothing. This is when they all come together and unleash their full strength. They also attempt to contain the beast, which reveals to be extremely tough. And, despite the fact that they are skilled magicians, the wolf never stops becoming stronger. Following that, they form a group and Muffin chooses to utilize his lightning power to shock the wolf. He manages to keep it up for a while. However, this is still no match for the beast, since this wolf is a far higher level than him. So their only hope is this stranger who emerges out of nowhere. Mr. Yang is the strongest water wizard in Asia. Mr. Yang destroys the beast with his superior water element, and he praises Mo Fun for being brave enough to face the one-eyed wolf. Mo Fun then absorbs the wolf's soul and gains a new level of strength. The day of his duel against Yuan approaches, and the director gives him some support while also being concerned. Given his lack of faith in his ability to win, the director informs him of the true goal of this event, which is the unique prize for the winner. They will have access to the Sacred Spring, an arena where the mage's talents can be significantly boosted. This makes Muffin understand how powerful Mr. Yang was, since he must have gone to the Sacred Springs to attain the advanced level mage. So now Muffin is really intrigued at winning this contest. But it seems like no one has any faith in him. He even talks to his childhood friend, and she tells him that he better not show up tomorrow, as Yuang will not hold back, and she doesn't want to see him get hurt. But Muffin tells her that Yuang should be the one to be scared, as he is fully prepared for tomorrow. He said that he's been waiting for this day to fight for his honor, and to beat the family who has humiliated his dad for many years. The day of the duel arrives and Mo Fun approaches the convention, where all the most important people in the city will be attending to witness Yuan's coming of age. All the guests arrive outside, and Mo Fun approaches Kai Tang, who tells him he shouldn't be walking on the red carpet. And acting like a VIP guest, Mo Fun forgot that they don't know he's their friend Fan Mo, who's a part of the city hunters. Mo Fun turned up on his own, but some of his friends show up, including his classmates, the army leader from the training program, and his father are all here to support him, although most of them knew he wouldn't win. The duel begins once they shake hands. They both have immense ability, but Yuang is a member of the Mu family. He possesses very special magical equipment that allows him to move extremely quickly, making it difficult for Mo Fun to land a single strike. Yuang mocks him, claiming that his level 3 ice power is too powerful for his level 2 fire to ignite, and then launches an ice storm attack on Mo Fun. So Mo Fun recalls his training in the City of Hunters, where he absorbs the wolf's spirit and aligns the 7th star to unleash his real fire power. Then he builds a fireball all around him, protecting him from the ice storm. He then knocks Yuang down with a fire explosion. Yuan, on the other hand, rises back up and tells Mo Fun that he's lucky he acquired his level 3 ability, since a piece of garbage like him could never win. He then demonstrates how he is so strong by utilizing sophisticated body armor, which surprises the Mu family boss, who is amazed they had to use this armor against a nobody like Mo Fun. Everyone in the crowd complains about how unfair the match is since Yuan is wearing armor. Even the army's commander orders Mo Fun to quit the fight immediately. Yuang informs Mo Fun that the armor was a present from his father and laments his father's inability to give him anything of the type, telling him he's only a poor boy and to quit the fight. But Mo Fun recalls what his father did to get him into the magic school. He continues the duel by releasing his full lightning strength, revealing for the first time that he is a dual elemental user. This time, he mixes the powers and breaks Yuan's body armor, resulting in an incredible yet unexpected win for Mo Fun. Please leave a comment below if you want me to recap the second season, and thanks for watching. Perudo was a miserable and lonely orphan who was left behind by his parents on a space module. He lived in a dark and cruel society that concealed the last remnants of the vampire god's ancient weapons. But when a cosmic threat invaded their spaceship, he unleashed the dormant and corrupted vampiric powers within him and activated the hidden potential of the living weapons. This resulted in the annihilation of the entire world in the year 71 of the true calendar. Humanity built the Dyson sphere to capture all of the sun's energy and enabled 70% of the human population to escape the Earth. In Gore Module 77, a flight requested permission to land. When two staff members greeted the students to Gore Module 77, they wondered why there were more than 2 students. Leaf stabbed them with a knife, claiming that a peaceful era had made the people of Jor weakling in the class. The teacher gave a lecture about the power balance between the nations of Dorsha. Haruto, however, was distracted by Shoko. His friend Kuma texted him to confess to her, and he choked on his own saliva. Shoko saw this and asked if he was okay, but he said it was nothing. She still moved closer to him, curious why he was staring at her. She tried to snatch his phone and wrestled with him until Marie took it and handed it to her. She repeated her question, and he said he found her cute when she was silent. She misunderstood this and assumed that Haruto found her ugly when she spoke. He explained himself, and the Riz Lord added that she looked cute all the time. Evening came, and Kuma was walking outside the school building with Anna. Noon approached them to ask for some directions. Noon was curious about what Anna was hiding under her skirt, but stopped him and said she would never reveal that to him. While then deduced that the thing they were looking for was right under the building they were facing. They all headed there, and Kuma and Anna speculated if they were some new transfer students looking for some cleaning supplies. Shoko told Haruto that she felt no passion from him. She thought that he was not trying to win the contest and was letting her have the victory. He replied that he wished for a world where they did not have to compete for things like that when they could have just shared the field equally. Overhearing their conversation, Leaf approached them and, after snatching some keys from his hand, told Haruto that happiness was not something that could be split in half. He used the examples of love and fried eggs to illustrate his point. When Haruto attempted to get the keys back, Lau tripped him and said that he should not let people walk all over him. He should fight back against such people. While the girls had a swimming lesson from the attractive teacher Nanami, who was endowed by the BBA god with enormous breasts, Haruto and Shoko were cleaning a shrine. Kuma mentioned Haruto being knocked out by Leaf. Shoko was furious and said that he did the right thing. He thanked her for being angry on his behalf. Al and the others reached the secret facility under the school. At the shrine, Shoko told Haruto that any wish made at this shrine would come true. He became serious as he was about to confess something. In space, the Doria army received a coded message from Al, and they initiated the Slay All Virgins mission. Smaller spaceships called the WAF moved towards the Dyson sphere from the Dorsha ship. Just as Haruto was about to confess, they entered the sphere. Eeyore's ships launched into the sky to combat the WAFs, but they were actually transformers from Wish and destroyed the ships with their miniguns. Haruto watched the dogfight in the sky, wondering if a war had broken out. The Dorch fleet bombarded the Dyson sphere with energy beams, while Leaf and his companions infiltrated the secret facility. They slaughtered the scientists there and discovered a massive robot. A dying scientist activated the robot and sent it to the surface. Leaf killed him mercilessly. Haruto and his friend witnessed the robot emerging from the water. Shoko ran to a car to save someone, but a WAF blasted the area. The students recovered from the explosion, and Haruto searched for Shoko, hoping she was still alive. The others told him to face the reality that she was gone. Haruto screamed in anguish and ran to the robot, vowing to make Doria pay for killing his only chance of losing his virginity. He turned on the robot, named Valra, and it stood up. The WAFs targeted it. Haruto tried to control the robot, but a message on the screen asked him if he was ready to give up his humanity. The WAFs pounded the robot, and the whole world watched the scene on the internet, thanks to a girl named Akira. Valra was falling apart, and Haruto felt hopeless. He thought he would die without avenging his love, but he remembered her words to never give up. He agreed to give up his humanity, and the robot injected something into him. The robot transformed, and Haruto instantly destroyed a WAF in front of him. He flew to take out the WAFs in the air, and the DOA pilots could not keep up with him, as the robot was too fast. He wiped out all the WAFs and landed the robot on the ground, as it ran out of power. Everyone cheered for Haruto. He got out of the robot and walked away from it. He saw El approaching him and asked who he was. El said he was a member of the Dorian Army Special Forces. He stabbed Haruto in the heart and shot him twice to make sure he was dead. He was about to get on the robot when Haruto bit his neck from behind. Haruto's friends arrived and saw Haruto covered in blood but without any injuries. Well's friends also came and tried to kill them, but Haruto shot Veer's gun. He told his friends to go to a nearby vent. Dree asked why he was aiming at him. Haruto shot him in the eye and went inside the vent, telling everyone that he was Haruto. The Dorsha forces had taken over every place in the Dyson sphere and captured the people. At Sakamori Academy, the Dorian forces forced the students to hand over their cell phones. Razo resisted and fought back until he was knocked down. A man announced to the students that Gore had surrendered to them. The nation they knew as Gore was no more, and now it was a territory of the Great Dorsha. Meanwhile, Leaf played rock, paper, scissors with Kuma to prove that he was Haruto. He was amazed at how well he could shoot, and Saki explained that it was because of muscle memory, as this body was trained for combat. They thought they should get Haruto's body back, but Leaf was more concerned about getting back to the robots and killing every Dorian. That would be the only way to avenge Shoko's death. Gore's president signed a document that stated they surrendered unconditionally. Reported to Kane that they had neutralized most of Gore's forces, and the people of Gore were being deported. They also retrieved the robot, but it was badly damaged, and its pilot, Haruto, was unconscious. The news of Leaf's betrayal spread throughout Doria. He killed some guards who were gossiping about him, and Kuma questioned why he did not spare them. Leaf reminded him that they were at war, and they had to be ruthless. They hijacked a helicopter, and Leaf dropped from it to kill some of the scientists who were working on the robot and scare the rest. He looked at his original body, and wondered why it had healed. He moved it into the robot's cockpit. Saki joined him later, and tied his body so he could switch his consciousness back to his original body. Both of them returned to their true body, and Leaf was puzzled by how he ended up here and how Haruto survived. Haruto attacked D's flagship and hit it hard. The pilots tilted the ship and made Haruto fall into the water. He eventually reached space and saw Earth in front of him, but his sightseeing was cut short by a swarm of wafts that assaulted him. Leaf saw him struggle to operate Valar in space and told him that he had no chance against so many ships. Haruto told him to shut up and fought back against the wafts. He moved at an incredible speed and drew a sword to slash each waft one by one. Meanwhile, the Doria ship arrived in space and launched two of its most advanced ships, piloted by Dree and Veer. These ships were the pride of the Doria Empire and were called heavy fighter units. Dree fired a volley of rockets at Haruto and controlled their path manually to follow him wherever he dodged. Some of the rockets hit Val, and the robot started to overheat from the damage in Haruto's movements. Wao, who had escaped, took Saki hostage and demanded Haruto to send the surrender signal to the Doria ship. But Dree confronted them, calling him a traitor. He asked Leaf why he shot him, confusing him. He smashed Valar into a rock, and Haruto used this chance to try to escape. Veer also joined the fight and was glad that Leaf turned traitor, as he always wanted to fight him. He kept shooting at Valra, but Dree told him to back off, as the fight was between him and Leaf. The robot overheated and stopped moving. Leaf asked Haruto what he had done to him, but before he could answer, he received a call from Shoko. Her voice made him emotional. He asked where she had been all this time, and she said she was stuck in a car underground. Leaf watched him talk, and wondered what was going on. His clothes were torn, but his body was intact. Shoko's phone battery was almost dead, and she was worried about him as she heard explosions. Haruto told her not to worry, as he would come back soon and promised to resume the conversation they had at the shrine. Val was hit again by Dree, and its max limit increased to 666 from 100. Haruto cursed the robot. Leaf told him that there was a reason why the designers set the heat capacity of the robot to 666. He told him to overheat the robot and see what it did. Dree captured the robot and squeezed it until Valar VE overheated and was covered in bright, dense energy. Haruto committed seppuku and somehow turned the sword into a flexible beam of light. He used it to strike Dree's ship. The people at Doria's main ship wondered what that was and ordered to gather all the remaining forces. Suddenly, a fleet from the Nation of Eyes fired at Dorsha. They forced them to retreat. After they left, Saki hugged Haruto in relief, but he pushed her away. Haruto did want to feel horny anymore. He asked Leaf why he did not remember the things he was accused of. Shoko escaped from the car, and when Haruto returned to the Dyson sphere, Leaf was captured. Shoko thanked Haruto for saving them all. She asked him to finish what they were talking about at the shrine. He tried to confess, but ended up insulting her. He ran away, and Kuma asked what he was doing. Haruto said he was a monster now and did not deserve any feelings. In the age where most humans lived in space, mankind was split into two factions. One was the Dorian Military Federation, and the other was Eyes, the Atlantic Ring United States. But another nation thrived in the shadow of these two giants. That nation was Jor, which always wanted peace until Doria attacked them. At Sakamori School, Haruto told the official Leaf's name. They pointed guns at him when they heard the name. Before they took him away, he predicted some events that would happen to Haruto. The story opens in a planet where several creatures coexist with humans, with dragons supposed to be at the top of the food chain. Monsters, like people, are constantly on the lookout for suitable places to live. A slime couple is seeking for a place to reproduce and approaches an elf called Diria to buy a home. Diria, a demon lord with excellent knowledge of architecture and real estate, to help them avoid humans, he shows them a cave deep in the woods. The slimy couple takes a look inside and finds it rather appealing for their needs. They also explain that their former house was highlighted in a magazine, which resulted in a large number of humans attacking their home and forcing them to flee. Diria, seeing their desperation, informs them that this cave has a 1-year hiding spell on it. If they buy it now, they will receive it for free. Diria departs when the deal is completed. The scenario changes and we are introduced to Letty, a small red dragon. A young dragon is chastised by his father for allowing a dragon egg to be taken by a lone adventurer. Letty reveals that he was napping to regain his energy when an adventurer and a cat appeared out of nowhere and stole the egg. Letty attempted to get back it, but fearful for his safety, he returned home. Because of Letty's ignorance, his father disowns him and orders him never to return. Letty looks at his ID card after being disowned and discovers how low his numbers are, discouraging him from living in the wild. He chooses to look for a house as a safer choice to avoid adventurers. Seeking help, he goes to Zoloto Mine, the dwarves' territory, to ask for assistance in building a house. However, dwarves are known for their greed, and they accuse Letty of stealing, capturing him. Letty fears that his body will be turned into luxury weapons, but manages to escape the dwarves. On his way, he encounters the same adventurers who took the egg and engages in a fight. Fortunately, the dwarves intervene, giving Letty a chance to escape. After running for hours, Letty manages to get away from them and stumbles upon a group of harpies in the forest. He shares his story with them, and the harpies offer Letty a place to stay in their nest as their children move out once they learn to fly. Letty is thrilled by the offer, but since he doesn't know how to fly, he climbs trees to reach the nest. After climbing the highest point, the harpies teach Letty how to fly, regardless his difficulties. Despite his attempts, Letty is unable to reach the nest, causing the harpies to laugh and Letty to be embarrassed. The harpies advise Letty to travel to the valley beyond, where goblins live, and tell him that they would assist him in some way. Letty travels to the valley but is captured by goblins who aim to butcher him for his meat. However, when Letty brings about the harpies, the goblins change their minds and free him. After hearing his story, the goblins tell Letty to keep searching without giving up hope. Letty continues his hunt and arrives at Sakurajan's house, who offers to let Letty remain at his house, although it's submerged. Letty first accepts, but soon discovers he can't swim. As a result, he turns down the offer, hurting Sakurajan. Sakurajan instructs Letty to travel east to the Yggdrasil tree and seek out the architect Diria, who assisted him in finding his way home. Letty goes after thanking him for the information. Letty enters the woodland while traveling and asks the gnomes for directions. When Letty arrives at his location, he runs into the hero's squad, who was the first to threaten him. However, a gray-haired elf appears and quickly destroys the hero's crew. After seeing the elf's brutality, Letty passes out. When he regains consciousness, he asks the elf about his purpose, and they introduce themselves. The Letty mentions that he is looking for a guy named Diria to help him find a house. The elf reveals that the person he is searching for is standing right in front of him, and after a moment, Letty asks him to find him a house, to which the elf agrees. He inquires whether Letty wants to rent a place or construct it, also providing his card. While looking at the card, Letty realizes that the elf is also the demon lord but mistakenly assumes him to be the demon lord of real estate. Diria asks Letty about his ideal home and the type of establishment he needs. After describing his ideal residence, Diria takes Letty to a dungeon to find a suitable home. They visit the Temple of Fall through a teleportation spell, where Letty encounters numerous traps and challenges. After falling into all the traps, Letty finally reaches the bottom and requests a break. During their sleep, Letty slips into the ocean by mistake, but Diria teleports him back. After taking a short break, Diria tells Letty to go back to the first floor and inspect the rooms. While climbing, 2 hunters appear and attempt to assault Letty for gold and other goods. Diria steps in, eliminating the hunters with a single spell. Diria, who is impressed, encourages Letty to sign the paperwork if he loves the residence. Letty, on the other hand, rejects it because he believes the residence is inappropriate. A few days later, Letty picks up again on his quest to find a home. Diria proposes a quiet spot for Letty to reside, and Letty immediately requests that Diria take him around. Diria offers to cover the construction cost and inquires about Letty's investment. Letty admits to having no money except for his baby tooth, which turns out to be worthless. However, Diria assures him that the financial situation will resolve itself. Diria designs the home and collects gnomes and ogres to begin building. Letty helps the gnomes fireproof the lumber but takes a beating for his imprecise brush strokes and paints coating after helping Diria prepare concrete and getting it all over his face after sneezing. Letty feels terrible, but Diria assures her that they will finish the project together. The house is finally finished after endless labor, and Letty thanks all of the employees for their assistance. Daria explains that they simply need to wait for the humans to arrive in order for their drops to cover the building costs. Daria walks away after saying this. The hero's crew enters the palace that night and attempts to rob Letty's home. The workers he recruited earlier, however, halt them and steal their looting. Before departing, the hero bestows onto Letty the title of Flame Dragon Lord. After a few days, Letty is visited by two corpokers seeking safety from the hero's crew. Letty offers to let them stay in his palace despite not knowing their numbers. As he unlocks the door, a swarm of creatures appears and asks for refuge. They add that after invading the location, the heroic squad burned their homes. Letty decides to let them remain since she understands their circumstances. After 4 weeks of continual party and monster hunting, Letty is fed up and informs Daria that he is going home and asks her not to seek for him. Daria rushes to Letty to see what is going on. Letty tells him the whole story and asks him to find a new place with peace and quiet. Daria agrees to help him and they continue their journey to find the perfect place. Daria also mentions that he sold the house to the monsters at a good rate. They go to the tundra to buy a new house, and Daria gives Letty a new set of clothes that make him resemble a furball. He gives Letty a shovel and tells him to make a new house with snow. After following the instructions given by the book, Letty successfully builds a new home. Seeing that Letty has a new home, Daria tells Letty that he has to stay in this igloo for 3 days. If he likes it, he will make it his permanent home. After Daria leaves, Letty sets off to find food for himself. He tries to hunt deer and rabbits, but they pick on him, turning him into a snowman multiple times. While Letty returns home empty-handed, he becomes lost in the snowfall and discovers an egg. He wants to eat the egg but decides not to since his mother might be concerned. After spending a day in the snow without eating, Letty begins to frequently dream about eating the egg. Until his parents come, Letty decides to look after the egg. While he is doing this, the snow begins to melt and he and the egg slide into the ocean. He spends another day in the snow before being devoured by a whale. When he wakes up, he meets a man named Davy Jones. Davy shows him around and informs him that this is his home. They drink tea and eat supper. After the tour, Davy inquires of Letty as to why he is here in the first place. Letty tells him the entire tale, and Davy invites him to spend the night. Letty asks Davy if he wants to go outdoors and look for his dream home the next morning. Davy binds him to a launch pad and procures a barrel of black pepper for him. He grabs it and is fired through the blowhole of the whale. Letty successfully escapes the whale and protects the egg. After a few seconds, Letty spots a lovely seal on the ice slab and attempts to devour it. However, out of modesty and kindness, he ignores the idea. It turns out that Daria can use the skin to transform into a seal. She appears and leads them to the shore. As soon as they reach the shore, Daria says that he has been keeping an eye on them and observing him from a distance in order to keep him safe. They then head to Letty's igloo for supper and spend the night there. The egg hatches unexpectedly, and a young eagle emerges. The next morning, they resume their quest for a new home because this one is likewise unsuitable. Thank you for watching this video. The next episode is coming soon, so don't forget to subscribe.